Did you know in 2019 the global games sector was valued at 109.49 billion, bigger than movies and music combined? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode 130. Wow. Fly by these things. My name's Gareth Briley. I'm your host. On my virtual left is Mr. Richard Dobson. How you doing, Richard?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, good, thank you. How are you guys doing?
You were shocked I came to you first then, didn't you? Right.
It always puts me off if you do that.
On my virtual right is Mr. Paul Renshaw. How you doing, Paul?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Let's start with you, Paul. How's your week been? What have we got? Medical updates? What have we got?
Oh, we've got all the medical updates, mate. Regular listeners will know that I was going on Friday last week. I was going to go and have a injection in my shoulder to try and free it up some. And all I can say is that whatever the guy injected me with, it was magic. I can now move my arm like there's nothing wrong with it, and I can do all of the dancing and everything else. My YMCA is back on point. Everything is awesome, as they say. The only problem I've got is that because I've not used my shoulder for a while, it needs to stretch out. It feels tight, if you get what I mean. I don't know if you could see this, listeners, but I'm I'm actually lifting my arm up as I speak just to try and get the description right. But yes, everything is awesome.
I hope they can't see you. It would be just a really weird, some security cams set up.
You know what? It's. I think that's going to be the next step for the podcast, isn't it? A video one.
Or just your own one.
Imagine how cool that would be.
No, thanks.
Paul's OnlyFans. $3.99 a month.
I'll tell you what, that's an entirely different thing, and I'm not sure you want to go there.
Good.
Lactating and everything.
Great. Good. My God. Richard, have you had a cleaner week?
Well, I'm about to talk about something called bodies, but trust me, it is cleaner. So I've recently found out that one of my favourite shows when I was growing up was available on Netflix. So I've been introducing Laura to a TV show called Bodies, which is written by Jed Mercurio, who everyone knows wrote Line of Duty. But this came about, I think it was 2006 it started. And I think it was back when he was like a doctor, or he worked in a hospital anyway, based on a book that he wrote about an obstetrics and gynecology ward. But whereas most hospital dramas are all about saving lives and uplifting stories, this one is all about malpractice and the darker side of hospital life. So I really enjoyed it growing up. I'm not sure how true to life it was, but it was very eye-opening. It's very visual in what it shows as well. And I don't think Laura's enjoying it, but I think she's also a bit repulsed by some of it because it doesn't hold back on anything that it shows you and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm enjoying watching that again.
And when did that come out originally?
I think it was like 2006. There was only 2 main series, and then there was like a final episode that got released a year or 2 after to sort of tie up everything. So there's only like 17 or 18 episodes worth.
Okay.
But it looks a bit dated now. So the first opening shots just remind you what film editing was like in the early 2000s. But yeah, it's still a very good story that it tells.
Oh, good. Okay, I might give that a go. I've got so much to watch. I've finished watching. I'm just too really briefly Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I really enjoyed. If Star Wars fans, give that a go. I think it's one of the best TV series of the Star Wars franchise. And I won't spoil anything, we'll just say every lightsaber battle should be in darkness now, in nighttime. It's the best effect ever. Amazing. But I'm watching a series that's been out for a while now, Apple TV, which I think is a really good. It's the best streaming service for stuff. All their stuff's brilliant, and it's a thing called For All Mankind, and it's a series. It's on its third series, but I've just got into it, and the idea it's a space race. Back in the 60s, the real with real characters, the real people were there, so they're using people like Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong there, and the astronauts. And the premise is that the Russians get to the moon first, rather than USA. And this basically it changes, like it becomes like, oh God, you're right, Paul.
Oh, sorry, I do apologise.
That's all right. It basically turns into an alternate universe where the space race changes, then they have to do certain things to keep the momentum up to try to get things, and it increases. So it just has it's like the history goes into a different direction. But it's really well done, really well performed. It's really interesting. I'm really enjoying that For All Mankind. I think it's on its third series now. But I'm only on series 1. I recommend that. What games have we been playing? It's quiet again still now at this point, but we've been playing some good games, haven't we? Let's start with Paul. Paul, what have you been doing?
Well, this week I've been playing the first game in the Shadowrun trilogy that were just recently released on the Xbox Game Pass. For people who've not heard of Shadowrun, it's based on a tabletop RPG, I believe, set in like a cyberpunk kind of universe, but it's a universe where magic and meta-humans, they're called, things like orcs and dwarves and elves, have come out and integrated into society, and obviously it's caused a few issues, as you can imagine. And the game itself it's quite a deep RPG. There's some good character customization in it, and the gameplay, the combat is turn-based, but it's like a tactical one. So basically, you're given a certain number of moves that you can make, whether you spend those moving your guys into position or attacking or whatever. That's how you play through. If you've played a tactical RPG before, you'll have played this one. The big difference is the story, which is absolutely bonkers. I'm obviously not going to go into it here and spoil it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's a few issues. I mean, it's a game from a while ago that was released on PC and has been remastered. So it's somewhat clunky, but the story and the gameplay is good enough to get you through. I think I gave it a 3.5 in the end.
Oh, okay. Was there a Shadowrun game that happened on the 360, which was almost like a?
I didn't play it. If there was, I had a Shadowrun game back in the day on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, maybe I'm dreaming this up. It was basically like a shooter online, like a multiplayer thing, and and I don't think it did very well. But
it's ringing a vague bell.
Yeah.
Shadowrun something it was called. Wasn't it?
Yeah, like a little shooter.
Yeah, it didn't have very much to do with the sort of kosher Shadowrun universe, as I understand it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
all right.
Worth a look, especially on Game Pass because it's free.
Yeah, and there's 3 of them.
And there's 3 of them.
Wow.
That's why it's called the trilogy.
Unbelievable.
Basic maths, kids.
You heard it here first. Richard, what's your first game?
My first game is another old one that's been remastered, but Sonic Origins. Did it come out last week? And this is basically a remastered version of the original 3 Sonic games, Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic CDs thrown in there as well. But whereas there's been hundreds of Sega and Sonic compilations over the years, this is one of the few times that they've been properly remastered. And I think it's also the first time that they're properly playable in 16:9 as opposed to 4:3 and not emulated. They've been built up from the ground up by Andrew Whitehead, I believe his name is, who was the main guy on Sonic Mania a few years ago. And these games are timeless now. It's classic Sonic that everyone will have played. But they've tried to do some new things in this compilation now. So there's mission mode where they'll put together like little bite-sized challenges for you to do based on certain levels. You can play them from start to finish as if they were one complete game. So I'm working my way through that at the moment. You start off with Sonic 1, then you go to Sonic CD, then Sonic 2, and then Sonic 3 and Knuckles. There's also, each one has a boss rush mode where you just play through the bosses sequentially. And then obviously there's a museum where you've got hundreds of illustrations, different music tracks, and some movies, which are quite good actually. So the movies, the ones that I've been watching, are the Sonic 30th anniversary concert that they did last year.
Oh, that's good.
They've got that chopped up into different pieces. That's good to have it in there, so it's sort of preserved for a little bit longer. So they have two different ways of playing it. You've got classic mode and anniversary mode. And anniversary mode is in the 16:9 version, and it gets rid of lives and it replaces them with a currency called coins. And it's these that when you get 100 rings or you reach certain score milestones, you can then buy stuff in the museum. And it's really, I mean, like I say, I know that there's been hundreds of different compilations, but this one feels a bit different in terms of they've tried to add a little bit more rather than just it being a pure emulation of the classic games. And yeah, if you like Sonic, you like Sonic. I think they're trying to go down the route where this is the only version that you'll need from now on. That's why they've removed the original games from Xbox Store as well now. So like if you want to play the classic games, get Sonic Origins. It's a bit pricey at the moment for what it is, but like I say, they have tried to do a little bit something extra with it, and for the most part, it's been very enjoyable.
How much is it?
I want to say about 35 quid.
Right, wow.
When the originals were up on the store for less than 4 quid each.
Wow. Are you enjoying it still, Richard?
I mean, yeah, you know me. I love Sonic. I will even defend some of the modern Sonic games that people don't like. But yeah, these ones you can't go wrong with.
Now I've read some previews for the new Sonic open world game that's coming out.
Yeah,
it hasn't been good, is it? Some really bad responses I read.
So what I'd seen, and I think there's a bit later on when we talk about the Nintendo Direct, it sort of got another show in there, and people sort of saw what they were actually trying to do with it based on, rather than making opinions on 2 minutes of footage,
right.
they got shown a bit more, and they were like, actually, it doesn't look too bad.
Yeah. I think I read some kind of people actually had some hands-on time with it, playing. But, you don't know from previews. You don't know what people think. But, yeah. Hopefully it's good. It's a good idea. Not for me. But,
not for me either, no.
But other people.
I played them first time around when I was a boy. And
yeah. People love it, though.
I know there are some strange people in this world, aren't there?
There are. We love those rose-tinted glasses.
I must admit, when you said that you'd been watching a film, given what you were talking about last week, I was getting ready to be shocked. But fortunately, you kept it professional. I'm impressed.
Good. Keep it. My first game is a little indie game called Oxide Room 104, which I think the review's up on the site. And Oxide Room 104 is like a survival horror game, much in the kind of maybe Silent Hill might be a kind of influence of that. You basically turn up a motel, and you straight away get knocked unconscious by drinking some whiskey, and then you wake up and you're in a bath, and you basically got to try to get out of the bathroom first of all. And so it feels like every your whole idea is to get out of this motel, and there's creatures in there, horrors all around. And it has that kind of very survival horror mechanic of, inventories, very limited inventories. Saving is not too bad. And it has that kind of feeling of like, I've got to get here, open this door. But the problem is, if like in the bathroom straight away, you've got to kind of try to get your clothes from the drawer to get a key to thing. And straight away, I tried to open one of the drawers, and I forced it open. I fell back and I hit my head on the bath and I started bleeding and I couldn't find any bandage and I died. So everything in all these rooms can kill you. And when you die, it's the horrific animation. You come back again, but everything's slightly different. So the puzzles have changed, or they've just not in the same items that you had in the first time are not in the same place. Enemies might not be in a room, but some enemies there might be more enemies that are tougher. So what they've tried to do is do something which is quite unique, which I really like, is like when you die, it doesn't feel like you're just replaying something. You're replaying something, but you've got to work out different things. But at the same time, the combat isn't great. So you have a gun, they're just absorbing your bullets. So the best thing to do is sort of sneak around. It's what I really like about it is they've had that homage of those old games, and they do that really, really well. And the sense of atmosphere in place is brilliant. And it's a really small little indie company. So what they've done is kind of remarkable, but it's sometimes a little bit jagged around the edges on a few things. And you do get a bit annoyed by dying, by opening a jar or something. Boy, I don't do that. So you've got to be really careful. You can do it without dying, but I don't think that's possible without a walkthrough. But yeah, it's good. Oxide Room 104, a little indie game. Really enjoyed it.
Can I ask a question, please? So I wrote the launch article for this for the site, and I read about it and I watched the trailer and that, and I was really, because it sort of said it was very disturbing and that, and then my mind was racing with like, oh, how disturbing is it? Is it as bad as I was perhaps imagining, or is it slightly toned down?
No, it's pretty bad.
All right.
Yeah, I can't even say what it is, it'll spoil it, but yeah, straight away, in the first 5 minutes, you'll get an idea about some of the things that happen, yeah.
Right. One to avoid then, for me.
If you're scared, yeah. I'm playing another game very similar to this at the moment, so I'm getting the two confused for us. I've forgotten the name of the other one, Phobia's Hotel.
Is it Phobia?
Yeah, it's very similar. It's similar because it's just in a hotel rather than a motel. But that's again, that has that Resident Evil, Silent Hill vibes as well. Good. Let's go into another game. Paul, what's your second game?
See, I've got a choice of two now. I'm just wondering. I'll talk. Do
the first one on the two, and then we can talk about the last one in overall, if that makes sense.
If that's what you want me to do, you're going to need to remind me what the first one I wrote down was.
Let's talk about Fall Guys.
Let's talk about Fall Guys. Oh, I tell you what. Well, as we spoke about last week, you guys were going to have a little session and I was going to join in. But at the last moment, the boy had to go and do archery with scouts. And to get to where they do archery, he has to cross the River Trent on a little boat. And so at the time that you were all playing Fall Guys and having a great time, I was stood on the banks of the River Trent in the dark, in the cold, waiting for him to come back across. Anyway.
What time was it?
It was probably 9:20 by the time he got back across. Oh. So yeah, it was a bit nippy by then, especially because I'd only gone out in like shorts and a t-shirt, thinking I'll only be 5 minutes.
All right.
Anyhow, so after that, I thought, well, I need to see what this Fall Guys is all about. So the boy had downloaded it as well. So we had a little game. And it is absolutely brilliant fun. I loved it. It's so stupid. And the physics are so amusing. And constantly trying to battle with all these other little beans as you run around a racetrack and stuff. It's like nothing else I've ever played. It's absolutely great. I'm loving it. So there you go. How did your session go, Gareth? Did you join in?
Me and James, we played, me, Richard and James, and me and James have been playing nearly every day. Last night we played, and I got to a final every time. I was quite impressed. I was on fire.
Look at you.
I'm getting on fire a bit now. I'm starting to know the places. But yeah, but what's great about it is it's just so random as well. It's just brilliant.
It's bonkers.
And it's good playing with friends because it's quite nice to watch when you get knocked out and watch the others and shout them on. The only thing that isn't working, and I'm still, is you've got solo play and then you've got squads and duos, and we can't find a match on squads or duos at the moment.
It was working all right this morning.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, because I managed to go into duos completely unintentionally, and it paired me up with somebody, and off we went. So yeah, it does seem to work.
James terrible into it.
Is it because James was driving? Is that the problem?
I managed to play a squads game at the weekend, but I think this might have been before like the US came online. And whereas normally it would put you in a team of 4 people.
Yeah.
And then it bases your team's performance based on how quickly you cross the finish line or whatever. It put me in a team on my own. so I was out first round that time.
Oh no!
Unlucky.
Well, I'm sure we're going to play it again with all of us because that'll be good.
Well, I will look forward to that because playing it with the boy was he's got reflexes like a ninja, and he's across the finish line and he's looking round. Like, where are you, Daddy? I'm like, I'm just here in the bottom of this pit. Don't worry, I'll be there in a minute.
Richard, what's your second game?
Well, it's another game that we like to play online, which is golf with your friends. Mm-hmm. But playing this because there was a new course released as DLC for it last week as well, which was the Bouncy Castle course. So I got given a code for that to play, and we all played a few rounds online because if you're hosting it, as the host, you're the only person that needs that DLC, and then anyone else in your party has access to it. So that was really good. But then at the same time, it costs £2.50 for this new course. So, and the base games in Game Pass. So yeah, it's a really good game. Good deal, and this new course is really good fun as well. So we played, we did hockey first, where you've got the little goalie and the net to score in, and we affectionately named the goalkeeper Peter Shilton because that was Paul's football knowledge.
Oh, wow,
absolutely. Does he not still play?
I think he's retired now, but. Yeah, it was good fun, and then we did a classic game, and Darren won that one, trounced us all. But I really like this new Bouncy Castle course. It's not too difficult like some of the others are. Like the Space Station one still gives me nightmares. It's sort of somewhere in the middle. There's a decent challenge, and it's just well designed as well.
Yeah,
definitely. If you enjoy golf with your friends, it's definitely worth picking up, or just getting your friend to pick it up and then joining one of their parties.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Richard. The last game I'm going to talk about briefly is, which I was going to talk about last week, is Barn Finders, which I reviewed a couple of weeks back or a week back. It's just worth mentioning Barn Finders because it's a very interesting game, another very low budget indie game. But the premise behind it is when people when storage lockers, basically, or houses haven't been claimed, there's an auction. We've all seen those programs like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And people go there and auction, and then you can win the contents, but you don't know what's in that lockup or that house. And you could have nothing, but you could have an amazing kind of piece of art that's worth millions or something. So that's the premise of this. So you're basically... You play this kind of character in the deep sort of south of a fictional America, and you got your little house, you got your uncle, and you basically go out to locations and try to find stuff. And the mission part of it is like you'll go to a house. There'll be a little story in there as well about a house, and you just looking for objects to pick up. And there'll be one object, like a special object that you've got to find out at the end of the mission. But at the same time, you're looking for all sorts of like bits. to just picking up stuff, and then you're putting it in your truck to take back. And then when you get back to the place, you can send stuff online to like the special thing to someone who's asking for it, but also you've got a shop that you can put all your stuff in your shop with your shelves, and then you open the shop and people will come and buy, and then you can haggle and stuff like that. And then, of course, when you've got some money, you can go to these auctions and try to outbid the next person. And at the same time as all this, which is like a little shop sim, house kind of clearing place, you've got this story about aliens coming down, which is like madness. Yeah. But it's really silly in a good way. It's always addictive, just going around trying to find stuff in a house and trying to sell stuff. It's really good fun. I really enjoyed it. Again, I think I gave it 3.5 stars. It's a bit buggy, nothing major. It's a bit.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah, you can.
Number one, do the aliens go to the auctions?
No, I'm not going to say. But yeah, no. But there's. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say.
Cool. Okay. The second question is, speaking of those programs that we've all seen where people break open these storage lockers, do you have the annoying auctioneer going bra 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 200 bra 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 bra?
Yeah.
You know, like they do.
I mean, everyone speaks like that. Everyone, because there's no sort of like everyone goes, so everyone speaks on a nonsense thing anyway. So it's like
fantastic. Yeah. That's got to be worth the price of admission.
Yeah. It's good fun. I mean, I would wait. You know, in a sense, the auction part is which the whole game's based on, is the smallest part of the game, and it's quite the annoying bit about it is like when you do on the missions, you get to about mission 6, and you have to do an auction. There's no way you've got enough money to win that, to move on. So you have to do a lot of going back and selling stuff in shops to get enough money. So that sometimes could get a bit boring. But yeah,
no, it sounds.
It's different. It's different. It's good.
Very different. That's one word.
Now let's move on into news, but we're still going to talk about games because Paul, there's a game that you're reviewing that hit the news. It's the Blade Runner game that came out on Friday, I think. Wasn't it? Now, Paul, before we go into the furore, what's happened around it, what's your thoughts about it? I didn't really know anything about this game. Tell us about it.
Well, I didn't know much about it, to be fair. I actually thought it was a new game, but it's not. It's a game from, I want to say, 97.
That's right, yeah.
That was good then, isn't it? See, look at me, professional research and everything. Yeah, it's a game from 1997, and playing it now on my Xbox Series X, I feel like I'm back in 1997. I don't want to prejudge the review, but what I've played so far has not been great. It's clunky and it's slow, and the font of everything is text based, and the font of the text makes it really hard to read what's going on. Obviously I need to play it some more, but the bit I've played so far I haven't particularly enjoyed.
Right, and I think the fans who liked this game from 1997, they didn't enjoy this new. They found it was even worse, so they've re-released the original 1997 on Steam. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised to see that, but then, to be fair, it can't be any worse than the version I'm playing at the minute. So
right. It's mad, isn't it? I didn't know anything. I really didn't know anything. I don't remember it being, because I'm a massive Blade Runner fan, but I don't remember this being in 1997. But it is like a point and clicker, is it?
Yes, it's, you've got a pointer on the screen that you move around, and obviously with the mouse, it'd make perfect sense. With the joypad, not so much.
Yeah, they've got to get
trying to get it lined up, and the only way you know that there's something you can interact with is because the pointer, and this is a teeny tiny arrow, it changes to green.
Right.
But it goes from like gold to pale green. It's quite difficult to see. I've found myself sitting on the floor right in front of the telly so I can see what's going on. That's nothing to do with being old and blind, obviously.
I review a lot of the. I seem to do a lot of point and clickers. Do you do that as well, Richard? I seem to do a lot.
No.
I do a lot. And one of the things that's been a really useful thing for translation into console is a few of them do, especially some of the indies. They do. You press like Y, and it just highlights all the areas that need to be interacted with on the
Yes,
screen, and
that
that's
that
really
would
good.
be lovely.
That's a really good thing. More of that, I think, all the time. Oh, that's a shame.
Well, it's not going so well so far. You never know; it might pick up, but the smart money says not.
Okay. Let's just talk about the Nintendo mini. What's it called? Mini Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
Nintendo. That's right. They had a little announcement. I think it was on Tuesday night. What do we like? We won't go through it. We're not going to do it in detail because some of these things will go to Xbox as well. I imagine some of them won't, of course. Anything that we like? Maybe one each. Richard, what you liked? Maybe you can have more than one if you want to.
Can I have two, please?
You can have two. Yeah.
Thank you. So I recently reviewed the Pac-Man Museum Plus, and in my review I was critical of it because there was no Pac-Man World, and then during the Nintendo Direct it got explained why it wasn't in there, because there's a remake or remaster of the first Pac-Man World coming to consoles, including Xbox, August time, I want to say, fairly soon. Right. Yeah, 26th of August. Pac-Man World is a really, really good 3D platformer based around Pac-Man, but there's not so much emphasis on running around mazes. It's much more of an actual platformer this time around. There's still mazes in it, but the way that they're done inside of the actual platforming levels is quite well done from what I remember. As a kid, I used to play this game quite a lot. So I'm excited for this remaster because it's up there with the better Pac-Man games. Is Pac-Man World?
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. What's your second one?
My second one was, get the name right, find it. Towards the end of it, the presentation, there was a game announced called Harvestella.
Oh yeah.
Which is from the guy. It was from Square Enix. It's basically Final Fantasy meets Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons, or Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Which I'm 100% in straight away with that description. It's got like your typical farming simulator, but then you need to go off and do adventuring because it goes through the seasons. But then there's this fifth season, I believe, called Quietus, which is apparently the season of death, where everything dies. So you need to go out on your adventure and stop that from happening, all whilst tending to your crops and everything else.
Great.
Just the perfect mix of farming simulator and RPG, and we never knew we needed until now.
Brilliant. Paul, what about you?
I'm not convinced by that one, to be honest. Right, well, in the interest of full disclosure, I didn't actually know that this expo was happening, so I didn't watch it live.
No,
I've just had a look at the reports from it, and the only one that really jumped, I mean, there was two there that I saw straight away, and I thought those have got Gareth's name on them. I imagine they're the ones you're going to talk about. But the one I liked the look of was Dragon Quest Treasures, because I do like a bit of Dragon Quest, and this one, it looks quite interesting because you've got to catch different monsters and then use them for various nefarious activities like fighting and all that kind of stuff. And it looks, from the description and looking at the graphics, it looks fairly interesting. I think it's something that I could get into. Whether it'll appear on the old Xbox, because trying to prise the Switch out of either my son or my wife's hands at the moment, they've just released the new Fire Emblem game, so they're both mad keen on that. But yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. That would be my pick of the games that I saw.
Brilliant, good. My two ones I think are going to be Blank, BLANC.
Yeah, that's one. Go on, send the other one.
That's a really kind of beautiful, kind of black and white, handcrafted thing. It features a fawn. It's beautiful, stunning. And the other one is RPG Time: The Legend of Wright.
Yeah.
Which is I didn't have you down for that one.
Yeah,
what did you have, Paul?
I had him down for the is that the one that you've said blank? Is that the one that was about the fawn?
Yeah.
Right. I had you down for that one,
and I think you might have had me for the Ready and the Laser Eyes as well.
That's it. Yes,
I
those are the
like
ones.
the look of that as well. Yeah. But the RPG one looks really good because it's set out like someone's got their like a board, just like the visual look of it. And I've seen this before. We saw this in one of the Twitch showcases. It looks great. Hopefully, they're going to come to Xbox. I reckon these two might do. Yeah, brilliant. All right, Nintendo Direct. There's lots of other good things there. Nintendo fans will like. I think people are happy. Now, this is really interesting. The next bit we just talk about this because we're going to do a quiz soon. The Overwatch, I think James brought this up to me. So Overwatch 2 launches in October.
Mm-hmm.
And Overwatch 1 ceases to exist online.
Yeah.
And Blizzard has sort of confirmed this now because they were unsure about this, haven't they?
There was, I think, first off, they said that they were going to coexist. And now they seem to have changed their mind. Now, I don't know what that means. Because my son, who's a massive Overwatch fan, has got Overwatch on disc.
Yeah.
So does that mean that when Overwatch 2 comes out, that disc can be a coaster or it can be a frisbee? I mean, is it just going to be useless?
But I think because Overwatch 2 is going free to play into it, so I think that's how they're getting around this. It's like, well,
okay,
because we're not charging for it, we can sort of
right. Okay,
but I think because one of the big things as well is it's going from a 6x6 to a 5v5, which when the professional players were sort of testing it, they weren't very happy with that. So, but I think it's losing that 6x6 by getting rid of Overwatch 1 as well.
Yeah.
So I think it might not go as smoothly as they're anticipating.
Yeah. And does that mean all the progression that people have, all the skins will start again, I wonder, all that stuff?
Surely not. I mean, they can't just, well, I presume they can just, but they wouldn't just flick a switch and everything that you've worked towards for the last, I mean, he's been playing this, 2-3 years now?
I mean, I guess it doesn't mean anything skin-wise, is it? It's not like people having special weapons.
It does actually.
No, I know it means to him and it means to them. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. It means a lot, but it doesn't mean you're starting Overwatch 2 if you kept everything and you've got a weapon that's more powerful than anyone else, because it doesn't work like that, does it? It's about yeah,
it's mostly cosmetics. I don't believe that you can get different weapons. But
no.
I hope they do. I hope they can keep it.
Well, I hope they keep them, because he's got quite a few sort of, when he's done the special seasons, he's got rare skins and legendary skins and all this kind of stuff, and he really likes them. So if they're all gone and he has to start fresh, that'll be a bit of a kick in the teeth.
Yeah. Interesting.
Also, is it?
Yeah, sorry.
Is it going to be referred to as Overwatch 2? Because if you think about how, if you compare it to Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, they are two completely separate entities. But then Fall Guys recently has gone through this transition where it's just gone free to play as well. But it's not Fall Guys 2, it's just an updated version of Fall Guys. So it's odd. It is a strange one. Because if it is Overwatch 2 and it's being referred to as Overwatch 2, it just seems odd that Overwatch 1 will cease to exist, then like just keep it called Overwatch and just say we're transitioning to free to play. Here's the massive update. Because it's going to Overwatch 2 is overtaking it, so is it not going to be part of the same file or same application?
Goodness knows. I mean, Destiny is a good example, but Destiny 1 is still playable and there's still people playing it to this day.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. It just seems an odd decision to kill off a loyal player base. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, we talked about this the other day with things like, it's obviously stuff like FIFA's a really interesting one because you just literally do it every year.
Well, I beg to differ.
But you people progress every year. They build up their teams, do that. They build up their players, individual pro clubs, and then they start again in September. It's like people have got used to that kind of like everything starts again. We were talking about Rocket League, which is really interesting because Rocket League is a massive. People love that game, and it's people have bought stuff and the season passes and the battle passes and all that. And we were saying, do you reckon there will be a Rocket League 2 at some point? And then the argument is, well, do they need one? Because exactly what you're saying, it's just the updates of the thing.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't want to lose all their stuff again, start again. Yeah, it's interesting with this stuff. I don't, in the olden days, games never had this longevity apart from World of Warcraft. That's going on for years and years and years.
They've just announced they've bought a new studio to help with this new update, haven't they, today?
Have they? Ah.
Yeah. It's Spellbreak, I think.
Oh, okay. Right. Right, you two. Let's do a quiz. Now, there isn't much other news. I mean, this is more of James. He'd be pleased. Skull and Bones looks like it's coming out in November.
Yeah, nobody else cares about that, do they? It's only him who still thinks it's coming.
He'd be pleased. He'd be very pleased. Good. Should we do a quiz?
Yes. We'll. Should we recap the trash talk from earlier, Richard?
So,
You're going down, Paul.
Oh no!
just depends from how high.
Well. My goodness, I'm feeling threatened now.
So, the quiz rules. I've got 15 questions, and you get one guess each on that question. If you get it right, you'll get a point. If you get it wrong, that point does a rollover to the next question. So if you get the first question wrong, then number 2 would be worth 2 points, and so on and so forth. So it's as simple as that. Last week we had a really brilliant nail-biting end. We had 3 of us end, but now it's only 2, so it might not. It could all be over by number 5, but we'll see.
Be good, hopefully. Yeah. How many points did you score last week, Richard? Just to refresh my memory.
Well, Paul, I'm not going to do that bad because I scored none. Can't do any worse.
But it's okay. I'm going down. So yeah.
So are we ready? Let's do your buzzers first of all. Paul, what's your buzzer noise?
Meow.
Good. Richard, what's yours?
Womp.
Right, great.
I'm stuck on the edge of the settee now. I've leant forward for this. So here we go.
Here we go.
Got his game face on.
Question 1.
Absolutely.
What was the first video game to be played in space?
Meow.
Paul?
Was it Pong?
No.
Womp.
Richard?
Tetris.
1 point to Richard. Well done.
Already an improvement.
Already topped his score from last week. Look at that.
Well done. Very good.
Well done, Richard.
So, question 2 is for 1 point as well. What was the first known video game to be played at multiple computer installations? What was the first known video game to be played at multiple computer installations?
That's a good question.
Womp.
Richard?
Wolfenstein 3D.
No.
Meow.
Paul?
Was it I don't know, Cyberpunk 2077?
No. It was a game called Space War. And
of course, yeah, that famous one.
Space.
What a title.
If you would have listened to the podcast, you would have heard this in one of the announcements. One of the things I do, did you know?
I hate it when you do this.
But it's a hard question because it was one of the first. It was done by, I think, it was done by the students in 1967, and that's how one of the first games made. And they did it over multiple consoles. Yeah, MIT students, I think. Maybe I got that wrong. But yeah.
It would be them, yeah.
So good, we've got a rollover to question 3 for 2 points. Are we ready?
Yes.
What was the Nintendo Entertainment System known as in Japan? Paul.
Famicom.
Well done. Good, Paul. 2 points.
You're going down, Richard.
Richard's cursing.
Still 12 points to play for.
Oh.
Well, that's true. There was some good maths there.
Okay, question number 4. In what land does The Legend of Zelda take place?
Womp.
Meow.
Richard.
Hyrule.
Very good, Richard. This is good.
Well done, Richard.
So 2-2.
Very nip and tuck.
So next for 1 point. Great. Question 5. What game is widely recognised as the first 3D fighting game?
Meow.
Womp.
Paul.
Virtua Fighter.
It is, Paul. Well done. 3-2.
Hey!
Good. Good. Oh, I like this.
This is good.
Question 6 for 1 point. In what year did Microsoft launch Xbox Live?
Womp.
Richard.
2005.
No.
Meow.
Paul.
Was it? 2004.
No. 2002.
I knew it was early.
So we have a rollover to question 7 for 2 points. What US state does Far Cry 5 take place in?
Meow.
Paul?
Is it Utah?
No. Richard?
Womp.
Yes, Richard?
Nevada?
No, it's Montana.
Oh.
No.
I was going to say Nevada sang Smells Like Teen Spirit, didn't they?
So,
Oh, dear me.
unbelievable. For 3 points. Now, the scores are Paul's got 3, Richard's got 2 for 3 points. What position did the creator of the Game Boy have at Nintendo?
Meow.
Paul?
Sat at a desk.
No.
He didn't sit at a desk. He stood in the corner.
Womp.
Richard?
Mail boy.
He was a janitor.
No.
Yeah. Good.
It's getting tense now.
4 points, isn't it? Okay. What country tried to put a ban on midnight gaming?
Womp.
Richard?
China.
No.
Meow.
No.
Paul?
Japan.
No. South Korea.
Is it South Korea?
Yeah. So, how many points is this for the rollover? I've lost
This
it
is
now.
5 now.
5 points. Ooh. What popular video game character inspired the name of a human gene?
God. Meow.
Paul?
Mario.
No.
Womp.
Richard?
I want to say Lara Croft.
Is that what you say?
Yeah.
No, it was Sonic, and it's a gene that's called now after Sonic S something, and it's a gene that works out that our limbs should be in the right places
And makes the blue.
Yeah, yeah. So are we on 6 as a rollover?
We're on
now?
6 now. Yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
god! What time period was LA Noire modelled after?
Meow.
Paul?
1950s.
No.
Womp.
Richard?
Is it the 1940s?
Correct. Well done, Richard.
Oh.
So that was
You suck, Dobson.
that was 6, isn't it? So it puts you on
Yeah.
8-3. Can you still do it? I don't think you can.
I don't think so. No, I think he's won.
Right.
There's only 4 points left, isn't there?
3 points. Yeah.
3 points. Can't even draw.
You're going to play for Pride then?
I am.
Oh, good.
In Pride Month.
Yes. Question 12. What country refused to provide a rating for Fallout 3 due to morphine
Womp.
being used in the game? Yes, Richard.
It's one or two countries in it, so I'm going to go for Australia.
That's correct. Australia. Well done, Richard. 9 points. Good. Question 13. Oh no, I've got 3 more questions. The Obama campaign paid for in-game advertising in what game?
Meow.
Paul.
One of the John Madden ones.
No.
Womp.
Richard.
I'm pretty sure it's an EA game when they were experimenting with this kind of stuff. Ooh, let's go for Need for Speed Underground 2.
Oh, close. No, it's Burnout Paradise. Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we talked about it on the podcast, one of the podcasts.
This sort of implies that I listened to the podcast.
I know. For 2 points, what was the name of the video game that officially featured Michael Jackson as a hero?
Womp.
Meow.
Richard.
Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
It is, that's true. Well done, Richard. So that's 2 points there. 11-3.
I'm getting absolutely battered.
And for the last question, what does Mario jump on when he completes a level?
Meow.
Paul.
Flagpole.
Yeah, there you go. For Pride. 1 point at the end.
Whee!
Richard, you won. Well done, Richard. 11 points to 4. Very good.
Well done, Richard. Very good.
Thank you.
Good. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, what are we looking forward to next week? Paul, what are you looking forward to?
I'm going to have a day off next week and go fishing and potentially a bit of camping as well. So I'm quite looking forward to that.
Nice. Good. What about you, Richard? What are you looking forward to?
Friday, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
The last 2 episodes are out. Very much looking forward to them. And then next week, the Klonoa 1 and 2 remasters. Because I can't get enough of these remastered platformers at the moment.
Is Stranger Things worth watching?
Yeah,
I've never watched any.
It's really
it.
good.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Stranger, especially this last series has been amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, it's good. Really good.
Okay, I might give that a look.
Good. Now, Paul, if we want to find you, where would we find you?
You will find me on the Twitter, and my handle is @XboxHubPaul.
And what about you, Richard?
On Twitter and Instagram, and my handle is @Dobbo1912.
And you can find me on Twitter and Twitch, GB Bridie. But for now, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You had found all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter @TheXboxHub and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.